Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're unpacking one of the most wild, elaborate literary mysteries of the entire 20th century. We are looking at the true story behind the Priory of Sion. If you've ever tumbled down a rabbit hole of historical conspiracies, secret bloodlines, and hidden orders, you absolutely know this name. But today, we're doing something a bit different. We're separating the intricate fictions from the actual, verified historical record.
Did a secret society truly guard the Holy Grail? Just think about that for a second. That dramatic question right there has captivated literally millions of people. For decades, pop culture has been completely obsessed with the idea that an ultra-secret, millennium-old brotherhood has just been operating in the shadows, protecting the most sacred relics and world-shattering secrets known to humanity. It's an incredibly seductive narrative, right? But to really understand how this massive global phenomenon started, we've got to first look at the grand claims that were being made.
Section 1. The Ancient Grand Myth. A Brotherhood of Legends.
According to the myth, the Priory of Sion was founded way back in 1099. We're talking right after the First Crusade, by the crusading knight Godfrey of Bouillon on Mount Zion in the Kingdom of Jerusalem. The whole story goes that this secret order was engaged in this centuries-long benevolent conspiracy, and their ultimate hidden goal? To install a secret bloodline, specifically the Merovingian dynasty, who ruled the Franks way back from the 5th to the 8th centuries. They wanted to put them right back onto the thrones of France and the rest of Europe.
And honestly, it gets even more spectacular when you look at who supposedly ran this organization. The group claimed an illustrious lineage of non-tourniers, or basically grand masters. Ready for this? Leonardo da Vinci, Isaac Newton, Victor Hugo, Claude Debussy, the famous alchemist Nicolas Flamel. It is just a jaw-dropping list of history's greatest minds. Now, what's really notable here is that most of the historical figures claimed on this roster shared common interests in the occult, esotericism, or basically what was considered heresy back in their times. It was, quite literally, the perfect lineup to legitimize a mystical secret society.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer mind-boggling contrast between the myth and the reality. It is staggering. On the left, we have the romantic fantasy, 199 crusaders, lost kings, sacred bloodlines, the whole shebang. On the right, the documented historical truth, a 1956 French organization focused on, wait for it, affordable housing. Yeah, you heard that right. The big curtain reveal of this grand mystery is that it actually started in the mid-20th century in a completely mundane way.
Section 2. The Real Origins, 1956. Annemasse, France.
So, what was the Priory of Sion, actually? Well, it was a fraternal organization officially formed and registered under French law by two men, Pierre Plantard and André Bonhomme. Their published statutes? Yeah, they didn't mention a single thing about guarding the Holy Grail. Instead, their stated purpose was mutual aid and supporting a traditionalist Catholic chivalric ideal. In practice, they published a little journal called Circuit, and this journal heavily focused on defending the rights of tenants and advocating for affordable housing. They even spent time criticizing local real estate developers. It was just a local, civic group based out of a newly constructed social housing block, no ancient Templars in sight.
But here is an absolutely critical piece of context. The number 6. Specifically, the 6 months in prison that the founder, Pierre Plantard, was sentenced to serve back in 1953 for fraud. See, Plantard had a history of forming these dubious associations and forging esoteric degrees long before the Priory of Sion was ever registered. This 6-month sentence perfectly sets the stage for understanding who Plantard really was. By pretty much all verified accounts, he was a career con man. He was just a guy constantly looking for a way to become a respected, influential, and, wealthy player in French esoteric and monarchist circles.
Section 3. Forging of Fake History. The Anatomy of a Hoax.
So, when local housing advocacy didn't exactly bring him the prestige he craved, Plantard decided to elevate his dormant 1956 group into something legendary. During the 1960s, he embarked on this incredibly elaborate scheme to create independent evidence for his society. It's like a giant puzzle he built himself. He and his accomplices fabricated a series of fake historical documents, the most famous of these being the Dossier Secret d'Henri Lobineau. Plantard actually snuck these forged files and planted them inside the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, literally the French National Library in Paris. By putting fake documents into a real prestigious archive, he essentially guaranteed that future researchers would discover them and just assume they were authentic historical records.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer lengths they went to.
Plantard commissioned his friend Philippe de Cherizet to forge these medieval-looking parchments. They contained complex encrypted messages that supposedly referenced the Priory of Sion and its ancient secrets. They were carefully, deliberately designed to legitimize Plantard's wild claims that a holy, royal bloodline had somehow survived and, surprise, surprise, that he himself was a direct descendant of the Merovingian kings.
To add this thick layer of deep, artistic mystique to the whole thing, Plantard shamelessly appropriated this famous Latin phrase, et in Arcadia ego. He literally lifted this straight from the titles of two famous 17th century paintings by Nicolas Poussin. Plantard just adopted it as the mystical motto for his fake organization and for his own family. He went so far as to claim that a tomb featured in Poussin's artwork was a real physical location tied to the lost Merovingian king Dagobert II. He essentially hijacked real art and real history to decorate his total fabrication.
Section 4. The Pop Culture Explosion. From France to the World.
It is absolutely fascinating to see how the myth mutated in print over the years. Look at 1982. 3 authors who genuinely were unaware that the library documents were forged published The Holy Blood and the Holy Grail. They took Plantard's fake documents as absolute, undeniable fact, and they concluded the prior wanted to create a theocratic United States of Europe ruled by a direct descendant of Jesus. I mean, wow. Then, jump to 2003. Dan Brown borrowed these exact same flawed conclusions for his massive blockbuster novel, The Da Vinci Code. Now, he shifted the core claim a bit. Instead of a political restoration, Brown's Priory was a mystery cult protecting suppressed feminist theology. But because these authors presented those forged documents as historical fact, global conspiracy theories just exploded overnight. The idea spread like wildfire.
Section 5. The House of Cards Falls. Unraveling the Lie.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because the hoax unraveled in a surprisingly rapid series of events. Fast forward to 1989. Plantard is seeking relevance again, so he arrogantly updates his list of Priory Grand Masters to include a recently deceased multimillionaire named Roger Patrice Pilat. Well, big problem there. Pilat was actually a friend of the French president and the absolute center of a massive, very real insider trading scandal. So by 1993, an investigative judge named Thierry Jean-Pierre is looking deeply into Pilat's finances. When the judge heard Pilat was supposedly the head of a secret society, he didn't take any chances. He ordered a search of Plantard's home right away. And what did they find? A massive hoard of false documents proclaiming Plantard the King of France. Faced with very serious legal threats, Plantard finally caved. He admitted under oath that he had fabricated the entire thing. The Priory of Sion was officially, legally exposed as a hoax.
Section 6. An enduring modern myth. Why we want to believe.
But here's the crazy part. Despite being exhaustively debunked by journalists and scholars as France's greatest 20th century literary hoax, people simply refuse to let the Priory go. Just look at how the hoax lives on. In 2002, a guy named Gino Sondri actually attempted to revive the order. Then in 2006, authors published the Sion revelation. They acknowledged Plantard lied, sure, but insisted his lie was just a cover-up for a different, real conspiracy known as synarchy. And as recently as 2016, an Italian esotericist named Marco Rigamonti was claiming to be the brand new Grand Master. It's wild. No matter how much concrete proof is presented, the myth has completely taken on a life of its own.
Which leaves us with this final, really provocative question. Why? Why are we so eager to believe in secret societies? Pierre Plantard literally created the Priory of Sion out of thin air to stroke his own ego. Yet millions of people around the world willingly, enthusiastically accepted the fantasy. Maybe it's because a hidden, deeply ordered world is sometimes just more comforting than a chaotic reality. The true story of Sion isn't really about the Holy Grail at all. It's a testament to the sheer power of human imagination and our endless, relentless hunger for mystery. Think about that the next time you hear a secret that sounds just a little too perfect to be true. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember, keep